In my mind, the 5 members of the Robot Council were always sort of like Greek gods in comparison to the ordinary robots of Metropole, who were more like mortals. Factor ends up being a god like Hephaestus, who's sort of underground, ugly, scorned by the other gods, but immensely powerful in his own respect. At the same time, his subterranean nature got me thinking about the way in which the King Under the Mountain myth, where there's a heroic figure who will reawaken in a land's time of need, mixes with the ancient evil bound underground myth that's so pervasive in fantasy literature. Factor is kind of both of these figures at once. To his own disciples like Factotum, he's a heroic figure who will come and save the world, but when you hear how Factotum describes it, Factor really sounds more like a demonic figure who will destroy the world when he returns.
The what circle is gathered at the what? Is this some kind of vocab test?
You still crazy?
Well, it worked.
Assad.
Memorius abstained, and every disputed vote was resolved 2-1 against Arbiter.
Merely guessing at what to transmit to Factor is futile.
Well, it was an emergency, boss.
I'm not either, Crispin, but unless we crack the code ourselves, we need his help. One of the topics strangely had the word lies appended to the end.
Well, that robot threw your gospel off the bridge. When we look down, everything really will seem as simple.
Right, Tyro. Down there is the ladder to the underworlds.
No, it's a robot's head.
I thought you hated Cornelius. It's like some kind of code.
Nor do I help criminals avoid paying their debts.
I'm looking for a big robot. It floats and has large claws that shoot lasers.
Scraper will not hesitate to terminate you.
The Airbus's motor gave out and it crashed.
A virus?
We should see if there's anything in that printout that might be relevant to 187's case, boss. It'll be like we're robot detectives looking for clues.
I think you may be rushing into things.
What it does.
The world man built was perfect, Crispin. A perfect machine made up of a million imperfect parts.
Welcome once more to the shrine to man, our lord and builder. I am ever faithful to your work, steward of the shrine, preacher of the humanist creed.
Boss, he needs a small clue to spare him disgrace.
I had done a lot of demos for what style of music to have in Primordia, and we couldn't quite find what we wanted. At one point, Dave Gilbert, the producer, stepped in and basically said, well, let's just go ahead and try doing music for certain sections of the games. And so I took the latest demo I had done, which I really felt like stood out among the demos, and I converted that to the opening theme music that you hear when you first start the game, which ended up becoming Horatio's theme later on. The other song I did around the same time was the menu music, and both of which kind of formed the foundation of what would be the style Primordia would have throughout most of the game.
Only do not destroy my city.
Big old Factor built just about everything from down in the underworlds.
Took it.
I doubt that will have any effect.
Hey!
His recklessness reflects poorly on his builder. I chose to.
This one is not programmed to respond to queries.
As for a reason, this would help avenge your defeat.
Yes.
Look at him, he's ready to go postal any minute. That sounds familiar.
Those lasers Scraper used for cutting granite can slice up that tin shell you're wearing like nothing.
You must be the judge of that.
Didn't Oswald say something about his monocle belonging to Memorius, boss?
Logan Cunningham, who plays Horatio, needs no introduction, especially if you're familiar with indie games and a game called Bastion, which won 1,000 awards and is really well known for the narration. A character named Rux does the narration, and that was narrated by Logan Cunningham. And that game basically is known for his voice. And I was introduced to Logan through Sarah Amale, who plays Clarity. For our previous game, Resonance, I needed a guy who could do that kind of low, gruff voice and who could sound natural at the same time. And she recommended Logan. She said, would you be interested in working with him? And of course, knowing his work on Bastion, I leapt at the chance. And he was so great to work with on Resonance that I knew that he was the guy to play her.